Hi, I'm Kathleen Bate, and we are talking to superintendents across the country. And Erin Kane, all the way from Colorado, is with us right now from the Douglas County School District. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's good to see you, and let's talk about what's happening in your community. Tell us exactly where your district is located and what makes your area unique.
We are just south of Denver, so we're in the outer Denver metro area. I have a very large district. We're 850 square miles, so 2/3 the size of Rhode Island, with 62,000 kids. So we have many different communities. We have different towns and cities, all encompassed within our large district.
How do you make them feel like one big family?
I work really hard on that. Actually, one of my big priorities as a leader is culture and climate, not only for our kids, but also for our staff and our families. And we work really hard to make it seem like one big family. Really making sure that I'm out in our schools as much as I possibly can be, that I'm in touch with our staff as much as I possibly can be. Every April on a professional development day, I go on a big tour where every teacher gets to see and hear from me in person in a single day, and we have 4,600 teachers. So it's quite an event, but it really matters to really get in front of your teachers and have them relate to you. And just know something about the person who's leading their district, and also to see them for all the amazing things that they're doing. I think it's so important to see your teachers and your leaders and have them feel seen.
Well, let's talk about the person that you are, because you've had a really unusual career path to get to this position of superintendent. I don't think people would, foresee that you actually come from an engineering background.
I do, yes. I have a very unusual path. My degrees are in computer science and applied mathematics from the University of Colorado. I spent about a decade in the data science field, or what we would now call the data science field. So I was in software engineering. I absolutely loved my career so much. But my husband and I had our third child. The wheels came off at home.
You were outnumbered.
We were completely outnumbered. And, we both had significant careers. And with 3 kids at home, it just became a lot to manage. So I made the really, really difficult decision to leave my career temporarily to stay at home with my kids.
Then how did you get into education?
Yeah, when my oldest daughter was going into kindergarten, I had decided to start a charter school. So that is really how I got into education. At the time, I still feel this way, I felt very strongly that our kids, especially at the elementary level, need more exposure to science, technology, engineering, and math. Back in the early 2000s, STEM wasn't even an acronym, but it was something that I felt very strongly about. So I, along with other parents in my community, started a charter school with an emphasis on STEM. And I opened that charter school with about 400 kids. I never intended to run it. I went back to my engineering career. But when our leader left the school, I was asked if I would step in just temporarily. And I did. And 16 years later, my charter network has 3,000 kids spread across 3 campuses, all inside Douglas County School District.
So now you're a part of the public school system?
Yeah, all are public, yeah.
And you also ran a charter school system, essentially. So tell us about, you've seen 2 sides of education that a lot of people think sort of butt heads. So explain to us what you learned from those 2, competing systems.
It's an incredible experience. First of all, charter schools and neighborhood schools are all public schools. They are just managed differently. Charter schools are managed by their own governing board, a locally elected governing board. And of course, a school district runs the neighborhood schools and is overseen by a larger board of education. It has been amazing to be on both sides of that world. In my district, we are very, very proud of the school choice that we offer to our families. About 75% of our families choose to attend their neighborhood school, and about 25% of our families choose to attend a local charter school. And we embrace them all as part of one district. We're one big family. And we think of it less as competition and more as providing families what they really want for their children, and making sure that they have those options. So we're very proud of the options that we have in Douglas County. And as far as seeing kind of both sides of that world. If I've learned nothing, I have learned that there are plenty of advantages and disadvantages to go around. And at the end of the day, we are all slaying the same dragons. We all want what's best for kids. We all want to take care of each and every child and make sure that they have the most positive, successful future possible.
What are you most proud of in terms of initiatives that you've either launched or programs that you have in Douglas County?
Well, I've been the permanent superintendent in Douglas County for 2 years. Prior to that, I had served for 2 years as an interim superintendent in Douglas County. It's my home. It's been my home for 20 plus years. I raised my own children there. So it's a place that is very near and dear to my heart. As far as things I'm really proud of, over the last 2 years, our district has had some incredible accomplishments that I'm very, very proud of, thanks to the amazing work of our educators and our leaders. Our academic results across the board are at the top of the Denver metro area and higher than we've seen in our district in more than a decade. Our scores, our recent state test scores, met or exceeded in every grade and every subject our own 2019 scores pre-pandemic. So we are actually higher in every grade and subject than we were before the pandemic started.
How did you accomplish that? Because playing catch up is something that so many people are doing right now.
Yes, we're very much an outlier. I have to credit our educators first and foremost for all the really hard work that they did during the pandemic and especially in the last 2 years. As a district, we set priorities. So I have 4 priorities in my district that I came in with 2 years ago. And focus and alignment has really been kind of the secret sauce. Our entire system aligned itself around those 4 priorities. One of them was literacy. Our entire system, from professional development to all of our district systems, all of our school systems, and all of our educators aligned around those priorities and focused on those priorities. Our literacy scores have absolutely soared in the last 2 years, especially. One of our other focus areas is pathways. So making sure that our kids have the most successful future possible when they leave our system. And we've made incredible progress in that arena as well. We are one of the few districts across the country that has really blurred the lines between K-12 education and higher education. So a large number of our kids are able to leave their free public education with a college transcript. Ready to go start their college career if that's what they choose to do and have a lot of tuition saved by going in with a huge head start, or being able to go directly into industry with an industry certification, an associate's degree, a certified nursing assistant, whatever it might be. We offer 52 different pathways. We have 9 comprehensive high schools and a career and technical education center that are all on the same schedule. So every student in every building has access to every opportunity that we offer across our district. So it's really been amazing work in that regard as well.
And getting them in the pipeline to higher education or learning some kind of vocation, that's a priority.
Absolutely, it's a priority, yes. And it really sets our kids up for success. So we offer everything from welding and construction industry certifications to things like aviation, robotics, cybersecurity, a lot in the healthcare field, from certified nursing aide, EMT, EMS, fire science, police academy. There are so many things that we offer throughout our district that all of our kids have access to that really gives them a launching point and has them leave our system with something that's transferable directly into the workplace or directly into higher education.
So it's not just holding like a piece of paper that's a certificate that some of us might feel a diploma is because you don't have a skill set.
Yes, it's true currency. It's currency in the workplace and currency towards higher education. And we work with a number of universities and community colleges in those partnerships. One of my favorite programs actually addresses one of the challenges that we have across our industry, which is the teacher shortage. We have a national teacher shortage that is affecting every school district in our country. One of our pathway programs is our Future Teacher program. And so our kids actually participate in courses around becoming teachers. They leave our system with 30 credit hours towards their teaching degree. a promise to come be a student teacher in our school district. They're able to work in our schools in apprenticeships. It's absolutely amazing.
And you have a personal investment in that, no? One of your children?
I do, yes. Actually, my oldest daughter is currently a student teacher in our school district.
That's got to be a lot of fun.
It
Well,
is.
speaking of women, you come from this computer software engineering background, and you mentioned STEM and wasn't around when you and I were probably in school. But talk about your love of math and science and how that your personal background, you're implementing that in the curriculum, in making it a priority for your district.
Absolutely. I am very passionate about math and science, and in particular mathematics. We know that we need to expose our kids to mathematics very early, and we need to be persistent to make sure that our students in middle school are algebra ready so that they don't miss out on opportunities later because they didn't get the right math skills in middle school. So that is definitely a priority in our district, really looking at algebra readiness in middle school for every single one of our students. And so, yes, I feel very strongly about math and science.
Do you have a particular program or anything you're doing to try and make it more appealing to young women or female students?
We're always looking at ways to make math and science more appealing to young women. And as you said, as a woman that came from that field in a time when very, very few women were in those fields, I do feel really strongly about making sure that our young women know that every option is open to them as much as it's open to anyone else. I feel that way about every single one of our students, regardless of their background or circumstance. It's our job as an education system to make sure that they can see the amazing possibilities for themselves and that they know what they need to do to actualize those possibilities, and that we provide those opportunities for all of our students.
Well, let's talk about technology and how you wrangle that into your curriculum and making sure that students not only, well, they're probably more technologically advanced than we are at this point.
Oh, absolutely.
But with AI coming about, how are you trying to handle all of the fast-paced development of all these technologies and make sure that the kids and teachers can use them properly?
You know, I think it's really important that we don't run away from AI as an education system. I recently read a quote. I wish I could remember who to attribute it to, but the quote is, "AI will not replace humans, but humans who can leverage AI will replace humans who cannot leverage AI." And we really need to think about that as we're thinking about the world that we're putting our kids into and making sure that we're giving them the tools to fully leverage the technology that is out there, but to do so in an ethical manner and with the guardrails that are appropriate. So making sure that we're not hiding from it, but that we're embracing it. I also think that the introduction of AI, and as with many things in the past, from the calculator on forward, really should give us pause and have us think about what are fundamental skills, truly, what are fundamental skills that we need our kids to have in order to be successful in a world that is changing much faster than you or I can even imagine.
So what skills are you prioritizing in Douglas County?
We really are looking at foundational skills. It is so important to make sure that our kids have solid literacy and numeracy skills. Those are something that are first and foremost, making sure that happens from a very, very young age. You can do all the critical thinking in the world, but if you can't read, that makes it really hard to navigate through life. We are also focusing on problem solving, communication, teamwork, critical thinking. We focus on the essential skills. And I would say the essential skills are a very proactive lens on mental health. In other words, we need to help our kids learn how to be resilient, learn how to persevere, learn how to get over obstacles. On that proactive side where our kids are taking control of their lives and taking control of their futures.
Are there initiatives that address that?
I mentioned we have 4 focus areas at the beginning, and literacy, pathways, essential skills is our third of those 4 focus areas. And so essential skills is absolutely something that we are implementing throughout our district. We have a counselor in every single one of our elementary schools. In our middle schools and high schools, we have very low ratios for our counselors, so that our counselors are actually able to teach proactively each and every student in helping them really acquire and understand the essential skills.
Because mental health has become a big issue in our nation's schools, especially following the pandemic. They had to deal with things that even as adults we struggled with.
Absolutely. And truly, the mental health crisis in our youth was well underway even prior to the pandemic. A lot of it can be traced to social media use. Social media is something else that we're really taking a hard look at in our school district, how we help our kids and our families navigate social media, because we know there are direct connections between social media and the mental health crisis in our nation, and especially in our young girls. And so it's just really important to keep a lens on that. And again, think about how we can get on the front end of that by equipping our families and our students with the tools that they need to be able to navigate and use social media properly.
How are you melding together traditional teaching with all this new technology and helping teachers keep up with the pace of it all?
You know, supporting our teachers is one of our biggest jobs as a school district, right? If you take care of the people who are taking care of our students will thrive. And so we work really hard to make sure that we're supporting our teachers. But we also can't dismiss fundamental teaching skills. Fundamental teaching skills are really, really important to build those foundational skills. And we need to really be able to think about how we help our kids with communication and problem solving and collaboration, and all of those things. And our teachers they're the first educator as well as a facilitator in this world of helping our kids have agency and solve problems, and be creative and be collaborative thinkers. So it's an incredible challenge to teach today. It's also an amazing profession, and I am constantly in awe of the amazing people that we have in Douglas County that teach our kids every single day. They are doing amazing, amazing work.
And you mentioned challenges. What do you think the greatest ones are as you look forward?
Certainly the pace of change in our world and keeping up with the pace of change. I think kids are better at keeping up with the pace of change than adults are. And so that is, something that we really need to look at going forward. We covered the mental health crisis in our youth. That is very, very important. Keeping a focus on those foundational skills is very important. Dealing with the educator shortage in our country is also very important. We need to make sure that we are respecting our educators, caring for our educators, and encouraging people to go into the education field. We also need to look at the workload that we're putting on educators. And I don't just mean school districts. Legislation puts an enormous burden on many of our educators. So I think we really need to have an eye on how we can keep the teaching profession a manageable profession that people want to go into.
And when you say legislation, is there something specifically that comes to mind? That
the more legislation, well-meaning legislation that we create, that means teachers have to document and do paperwork and turn in things, the more that they have to do all of those pieces, the less they're actually able to be planning for and in front of their students. So always looking at a good balance of how we're responding and how we're able to support our educators and make sure that we're not asking unreasonable things.
What do you think separates Douglas County School District from all the others across the country? Something that's truly unique to your community, that it has its own flavor, so to speak.
It absolutely does. We have an amazing community. Like many communities throughout our country, we have had a lot of polarization in our community. And one of my priorities as superintendent has been to really work to bring our community together around the things that we all value. And we all value making sure that each and every child has an amazing education. And so really helping our community come together and rally around the cause of our children has been a great pleasure, and it's been fantastic. We've taken our community members that may or may not agree with each other, and we've brought them into our schools and really tried to make them a part of our school system and really help them see what we're doing in our schools. And I think it's important that as a community, we model for our kids civility and the exchange of free ideas and debate. And we can disagree on something without one of us being a bad person, right? Just really modeling that we can disagree and still be friends. That's something that we need to continue to model for our children. And I hope it's something that we model in Douglas County schools.
And it sounds like that's something within the scope of your job that has evolved over time, that it's become something that you truly have to address.
Absolutely, it is. Yes, it's absolutely become something that all of us in education have to address. And I really think part of our role is really working to bring people together, because what brings us together is so much more powerful than the things that separate us.
And what kind of opportunities do you think are out there in terms of 2024 when you look at education as a whole?
What kind of opportunities are out there? So many. I think education is in the midst of a revolution where we're really thinking about how we prepare our kids for the future that they're going to walk into and the pace of change. And so as young people looking into going into education, I think it's an incredible opportunity for them to be part of that revolution and part of that change. And so I actually think education is a more exciting field today than it has ever been.
What's your best advice to people who are superintendents in other parts of the country?
Being a superintendent is an incredibly challenging job. But my advice is always to embrace it. Be true to yourself, be honest, be transparent. Let people see your why, let them see your passion, let them see your vulnerabilities. I think all of those things are really, really important. When I think about my job, people often ask me, what's your leadership style? And my answer is, it doesn't matter what my leadership style is. What matters is what the people that work for me need. I need to be, for each of them individually, the leader that each of them needs. And as we think about a system or educating our children, we need to think about being the leader that each of our people or each of our children in a classroom need, because it's not about us, it's about them.
And see, as an engineering background, you're still solving those equations.
Always, always.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning, Erin.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great to have you. Erin Kane with Douglas County School District. Thank you.
Thank you.